That change to the banner pattern is cool, but also there's no bundle in this beta. How much longer is it going to be before it actually gets added? The answer to this one is quite surprising, just like the answer to the question about why there are so many bugs which have been in the game for years, a kind of follow-up to yesterday's video. But even more interesting is the weirdest brand deal that Minecraft have done, because even though the game development team are clearly taking a break on the Java side of things, the brand development team are doing a very big job of making sure they work with as many brands as possible. And so when Wild Winter Poodles asks a bath bomb add-on, how will that work? I don't get it. Well, you might be surprised to learn that Minecraft and Lush have teamed up to have Craft Your Calm this summer be a collection of 12 new bath bombs. You'll be able to buy those physically in store throughout the month of August in the Lush app, in shops, and on Lush.com. This is in the United States, the UK, and Canada. But also, players will also be able to craft and use bath bombs in Minecraft Bedrock Edition by downloading the free Lush bath bombs add-on from the Minecraft Marketplace. You know, okay, let's just quickly do this. So there are new ingredients specifically only found in some biomes, including salt and seaweed and lavender, lemon, and mint. Okay, makes sense to me. And then we can use those to make bath bombs, and the bath bombs will give you fun effects. Okay then, well let's see what this looks like. This is the big blue bath bomb. Oh, is this what a bath bomb does in real life? It gives you some fun water breathing effect. I feel like you just can't advertise a bath bomb as giving the water breathing effect. I feel like that's going to cause a problem for someone eventually, but I like that it exists. It's a very, very pretty thing. Then we've got the Twilight bath bomb. I'm going to go a little bit further away to do this one. So this is my Twilight bath bomb. Oh, isn't that pretty? Okay, finally here we have the Intergalactic bath bomb, and it matches the guidebook, so you know it's got to be the best, right? Is it going to send me to another dimension? You know, that's what it should do. Oh, instead, it's going to give me jump boost, night vision, and slow cooling. But yeah, you can use it to do some very, very odd things with an Elytra if you want to. And so, welcome to the bath bomb add-on. Is this one you need in your life? Well, it's free, so, I mean, oh, wait, look at that. It's luring in items from outside of it. Wow, you can collect eggs in your bath now. As fun as this raises the question of how was this even possible to produce? After all, Minecraft as a team are on a summer break, but the answer is that although a lot of development is paused for the summer, it turns out that the director of US consumer products still has to work hard. And by the way, what an incredibly niche title for a job. Have to say it's crazy that, you know, Minecraft has hundreds and hundreds of employees, and people like to imagine that means there's 600 people working on updates, but it's more like a few dozen people working in updates, and people with incredibly niche titles like this, who, to be fair, are working hard throughout the summer, give them some real credit. Speaking of giving some credit, so what does that mean about the bundle? Because Minecraft did explicitly tell us to
keep an eye out for bundles coming to Bedrock betas and previews.
And they told us that on June 29th, but despite going through an entire update cycle, 1.20, 1.10, and in fact, a second update cycle in 1.20, 1.20, we have yet to see any bundles. And so with a 1.20, 1.30 beta now being out and not having the bundle, do you think that it's being delayed even more? Well, actually, my answer to Semi-Hypercube from the intro here is that the time we'll have to wait for the bundle is probably easily predictable, because Minecraft said that they were taking a break from doing their monthly show where they announce things, which means that they will be back in September, which means that the bundle is almost certainly coming out before then, and it was in their plans to be coming out before then, and that means it could be as late as the end of August that we see our first preview and beta, but I would actually imagine that it's at least a week or two before that, so I would say that this week's preview, or the one after, is most likely, but at the exact same time, we've been saying that for the last few weeks now. As a community, any of the YouTubers I've been who follow Minecraft news, any of the community members who are very excited about bundles, we've been saying, yeah, this week feels about right for the last 4 or 5 previews now, but I do start to now believe that the next one or the one after are almost certainly actually going to be it, and also we can now say that 1.20, 1.20 is definitely going to be a bug fix update and not a drop. There's nothing really exciting in there, but will 1.20, 1.30 feel like more of a, content fill update? If so, that raises the question that are Mojang actually going back and forth between updates that add features and updates that add other things? Because one of the features in 1.20, 1.30 already without the bundle is of course the colored items on Bedrock. These are meant to represent the rarity of the item, but lots of people are confused about this system, such as Human69, who says yellow means uncommon. I thought it was the color of jaundice, although to be fair, jaundice is uncommon, so not that far off. But people like Spider say Minecraft having rarity is low-key useless since the items themselves have their own rarity without having to be called legendary or rare. This is a valid point, and to be fair, most experienced Minecraft players will know the rarity of the silence trim or know the rarity of, say, a golden apple without the game having to tell them, but there are 3 great reasons that the system needs to exist. One of these is the fact that it means that when you do get a valuable item, you'll know from the color of the text that it has whether it is one of the rare items or one of the rarest items, which is very fun. I also can imagine this makes it great to try and collect all of the rare or all of the epic items. It feels like a fun challenge to me. The second reason is the fact that obviously Mojang can then balance the items accordingly, and they don't have to say that every item in Minecraft is officially equal. There can be an official and written down and codified version of which items are rarest and therefore get preferential treatment in certain ways. But the third reason is, of course, for new players. Any new player isn't going to know the difference between a common and uncommon, a rare and an epic item, and so just being able to immediately see, oh, this must be valuable, is pretty darn great if you ask me. I think this is one of those great examples of bringing Bedrock and Java closer together without having to really remove or add anything to either edition, just kind of make some consistency changes, and I think it's great for that reason. Good job to Mojang on the rarity parity. Speaking of rarity parity, in the exact same preview this came out in, there were 300 plus changes. Jesus, Mojang, you guys are still working hard, although what I don't understand is what rarity even is as a Java player, and again, for the most part right now, it doesn't really do that much. I think that for people like BarterChain65, and honestly, myself who have played Java before but didn't quite understand why different items had different colors, it'd be great if Mojang gave some real benefit or some in-game purpose to these different colors. It could be very, very minor, it could be just the way that they enchant or something like that, but I think it would be a great way to help actually have people understand that the color is rarity and it's not just some random, because I didn't know about the rare, uncommon, rare, epic system until it came out in the preview this week, and I imagine there's a healthy percentage of the Java player base who are in exactly my boat. Speaking of my boat, Brock3257 says they should really color code enchanted books to indicate the item they're supposed to be used on. Red stripe for picks, orange for swords, etc. This doesn't really work as an enchantment, like as an idea, because there are so many enchantments that work on multiple tools. So sharpness works on swords and axes, efficiency works on basically every tool besides the sword, mending works on literally everything, including flints and steels and a warped rod fungus. There's a lot of really silly items which you can do there. I think the better way to do it is to sort the enchantments by some form of rarity system, because there are rarer and less rare enchantments, and doing it that way would be great. I think the video from my new Ultimate Guide series that has been doing the best so far has been the one about rare enchantments, because a lot of people are curious, like which enchantments are sort of rare and which ones are mega rare, and the fact that there are lots of different categories is something that Mojang could maybe improve upon, because again, I think right now you can understand the rare enchantment system pretty well if you've been playing through all of the updates, but if you were just to get into Minecraft from scratch today, the fact that there are basically 5 different ways to find them is something that would probably confuse more than its fair share of people. Speaking of the fair share of people, I have been complimentary a lot of Mojang in this video, but one of the things that I think a lot of people have been saying is like, yeah, you can say that this update is going great all you like, but until I see in-game super flat customization, it's not good enough, and this is basically a reflection of parity. I think it's great that Mojang are hopefully moving away from removing features from Bedrock to make parity, instead to adding features to Bedrock, but the big one is custom super flat. I can tell you that I have spoken to a Minecraft developer off the record, so I can't reveal too much, but they are very passionate about custom super flat too. They have made attempts to get it into Bedrock, and I imagine there are more coming, and so it's not an impossibility. In fact, it's a guarantee in the promise of parity that one day it'll eventually happen, although, let's be honest, there's a lot of other things that are much easier that we'll see between now and then, but still, I can't stop hoping, and neither should you. Speaking of hoping, yes to Snake is the opposite of my opinion on snakes, by the way, but what's weird is 10 updates later, and 1.20 is still a small update. This is in reference to my video talking about 1.10, and how it was a kind of forgotten about update more than anything else, but yeah, the weird thing about 1.10 being forgotten about is that 1.20 kind of repeated the same thing. 1.8 was a solid and loved update, 1.9 added a new boss and was a little controversial, and 1.10 was kind of forgotten about, and it's weird because that's kind of repeated with 1.18, a solid update with great new features people will love for a very long time to come, 1.19 which added a big boss but was very controversial in lots of aspects, and then 1.20 which was a good update but is going to be forgotten about because all of its features are just kind of nice to have there in the end. This pattern sort of continues into 1.11 versus 1.21, adding a giant structure to the game, not being one of the best updates ever, but being a pretty good one, adding some real utility utility functions in the form of the vault, and so that makes me curious about 1.12. 1.12 was kind of Mojang reinventing their update system, and so is that what 1.22 will do? Well, I'm not going to speculate too much in this video, but it's fun to think about, right? Just like how it's fun to think about the fun behind the scenes of Q&A Saturday I'm going to give you here, because the 1.42 scenario was a fun comment I got from Doug's the Boda 6091, and just like every Q&A Saturday, there's some comments that I'll gather that I think would be interesting to talk about, but that we maybe went over too much on the previous comment. So great comment here, but sadly not going to go into it, because instead I've got a very big one from iCarl495. Can you still complete the daily quest if you're a day late? This is of course referring to the Minecraft Bedrock server, which you can go into to get a cape if you complete all the challenges, but obviously the daily challenges have long since been announced, and so can you still get it? Yes, you can. The daily quest came out once a day, but they could be completed at any point after that fact, so after day 7 you could do all 7 on the same day if you want, which means now if you think you've missed it, or even if you just haven't really paid attention, go hit the join the event button and please use your day and a few hours remaining to go play some MCC. I think it's a fun thing to do, and you're going to have a cape on your account forever. A lot of people really like these capes already, but also in years you might find that you really want it, so please go ahead and do that. I know that when a YouTuber says something this many times, you assume they must be getting paid or something, and that is a very cynical view on reality that we have that has sadly been earned by many YouTubers, but please just trust me that you're probably going to want this if you're watching a video about Bedrock, and if you're watching a video about all of this stuff right here. Speaking of stuff right here, I want to just move into a comment that came in from yesterday's video that really sparked my interest, because Cool Dude 8547 responded to my video about bugs that have been in Bedrock for at least 7 years, and basically he said that Mojang says their updates take time because they focus on quality control, yet we have bugs that have been in the game for years. So there are two reasons that this is true. Because again, I really never want to just dive into the whole like Mojang is lazy argument, because it's just too easy in my opinion when there's a company that is kind of as non-transparent as Mojang, where you're not really sure what's going down, to explain why all of that work results in not as much as you hope, to be like, well, it's clearly laziness, but weirdly that in itself is a lazy argument. People who say Mojang are lazy are actually lazy themselves, but I think that there are two very big reasons that there are so many bugs from old updates, despite the fact that Mojang focus on quality control. One of those reasons is the fact that actually it seems as though it takes Minecraft a little bit of time to work out how to best do something, and the best example of this would be those random chests in the trial chambers. Those random chests being turned into hoppers on barrels is something that I couldn't have come up with, even if I thought about a lot. It's actually a genius solution, and there's a lot of things like that that just take some time to really come into it. But the second reason why there are so many bugs that are 7 years old comes from this second comment right here, which is from Salvatore Mutali 9751, who says obtaining Path Box using Silk Touch actually makes sense. They should keep it as a feature. And weirdly, there are so many comments like this about various bugs. Again, they are confirmed to be bugs by Mojang, but even though Mojang thinks they're bugs, the community think they're fine, and there are lots of cases of this where it's like, well, if people like it, can it really be considered a bug? The answer is eventually yes, it's going to cause a huge technical debt, but in the short term, they don't patch certain bugs that the community likes, and in the long term, when they do patch those bugs, it'll be seen as removing a feature, like it was when they removed the horses into boats, like it was when they removed the beautiful Shattered Savannah, and so I kind of see Mojang's at least perspective on this one, and maybe you do too. Speaking of things you might see, thank you to the 410 of you who are going to be proud owners of the Longboy. It's going to be something fun. It's going to be shipping in October if you're curious. I am very excited for that one day where everyone starts to get their Longboys. What I'm also very excited about is the fact that I have had a very, very, very long 3 weeks, like being worried about whether we'd make it. I can't believe we made it over the line at the last minute, but I really want to say thank you again to everyone who supported that campaign, and thank you again to everyone who supports this channel. I really love that after all these years, we've been managing to do these sorts of things consistently, and Q&A Saturday seems to be one of the most consistent channels, series on this channel, I guess I should say, and so thank you to those who have supported it and allowed it to exist, but also thank you to everyone who has subscribed, become a member, and everything else, because this has been a fun video on the channel, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for one of the pieces of content I've been working on for literally, I think it's months at this point. I think it was May we started it, and even then, in the concept phase, I started it as early as March. It is a very, very, very big video, but I'm excited for you to see it tomorrow, as well as a slightly shorter Seed Sunday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you there. Goodbye.